और या अमित को बोलें?
As of now तो I can start. Meanwhile बीच में कहीं पे सिग्नल्स कुछ जाएगा तो फिर प्रॉब्लम होगी.
उससे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, आपको बस दिक्कत नहीं होनी चाहिए. हमें आपसे, आप कहीं पे भी बैठे हो उससे हमें प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बट you should not be having any trouble.
As far as connection proper है तो मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम
Hello
नहीं है.
sir, we are live sir.
Okay. Hi,
you please,
Mr. Vishwajit. Good evening. You are muted.
Good evening, Dr. Maheshwari. Good evening, Amit. Good evening, everyone.
So, who is the RX person today? Aryan. Who is representing from RX?
Neelam sir. It's me.
Yeah. So better you keep right name because RX बुलाने में अच्छा नहीं लगता, नाम से बुलाना ठीक लगता.
Okay, okay sir.
आप नाम बता दीजिए अपना.
Neelam sir, we are live
अच्छा,
sir.
हाँ, नीलम जी, that's very great. You are there. And so Neelam ji, are we here now?
Yes sir, or we are live sir.
We are live. So
And
welcome.
Mr. Kamal Sangvi has also joined from us. Sir.
Yes.
So should I start, Amit? Or
Yes, sir. Sir, let Dr. Divya start. Dr. Divya ma'am will initiate.
let me introduce Dr. Divya,
Yes.
and then we will give to her.
Right. Sir.
Welcome all ACP members from ACP India Chapter. It's our greetings of Doctors Day. This is National Doctors Day of India, which is celebrated on the birth anniversary of Dr. B.C. Roy. Dr. B.C. Roy was a great physician of the country who has been politically active also and has been the first Chief Minister of West Bengal after independence of the India. Apart from that, Dr. B.C. Roy has numerous publications and numerous things which he has done for the betterment of the medical health as well as the medical education in India. So with these words for him, I will introduce today's Master of Ceremony, who is our Chairman of the Women's Wing, or the Chairpersons of the Women's Wing, or Chair Lady of the Women's Wing, Dr. Divya Saxena. Dr. Divya Saxena is a very vibrant physician who is active on multiple forums, including ACP, IMA, RSSDI, and API, and she is known for his work which she is doing for the public welfare as well as for the medical education. Without wasting much time, I will request Dr. Divya to take over. Over to Dr. Divya.
Thank you, Anuj, for the kind introduction, and I am really honored to be here as a Master of Ceremony for today's program on the occasion of Doctors Day. So first of all, a very good evening to all of you and a very happy Doctors Day to all of you. As we all know that Doctors Day is marked to recognize the medical doctors and their role and responsibility in serving the lives of the people. The day recognizes their functions and obligations. This day is celebrated annually by Indian Medical Association and other associations as well. But this year, we are fortunate enough that Health Ministry has also recognized this day to be celebrated as National Doctors Day, and this day as in front on the entry gate of every hospital. So we are really thankful to the government of India for giving recognition, special recognition to doctors on this. As Dr. Anuj has already said, this day has been celebrated in the memory of Dr. B.C. Roy, a great doctor, a great physician. So without wasting much time, I would request the technical team to please play the Ganesh Vandana. As a customary, as an Indian tradition, we always start a program with Ganesh Vandana. So please play the Ganesh Vandana.
Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva सर्वदा वक्
Thank you. And now I would invite the Governor India Chapter, Dr. Anuj Maheshwari, who is Vice President of RSSDI as well as the Secretary General of Indian Society of Hypertension. So I would request Dr. Anuj Maheshwari to please deliver his governor's message for all of us. Over to you, Dr. Anuj.
Thank you, Dr. Divya. In the capacity of Governor, ACP India Chapter, I shall be here today on Doctors' Day, greeting all my colleagues, all the members of the ACP India Chapter, as well as I am going some very special announcement for which many people should have been waiting. I am sharing my screen. Hope all of you can see my screen. Is it visible to all of you? Yes.
Visible.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
So we can't forget to remember Dr. Vidhan Chandra Roy, in the memory of whom on his birth anniversary we celebrate National Doctors Day. And before I move forward, I shall be very happy to introduce all of you. Our Board of Governors Chair, Dr. Elisa Choi, has joined with us, and will request Elisa, because she is traveling right now, and if she can speak something, would be very happy, so that she may not be disconnected after boarding in the flight. Dr. Elisa, if you are listening me, will you be speaking something? Dr. Elisa? Okay. I don't think she is in position to speak, so we'll move forward. Best wishes from ACP India Chapter on National Doctors Day. Especially it becomes more important when we see that a lot of doctors in India has laid their life for protection of patients during the COVID-19. So we are really proud of all those physicians who has worked hard, who made themselves in the dangerous condition, and many of them laid their life for the people of India, for protecting them from the COVID. So this is the Happy Doctors Day, and if we are from ACP, the ACP's motto, we move towards that which is diversity, equity, inclusions, and well-being of the clinician. So let me come up to the important announcement of the ACP. We all know that last year we have done hard work for the early career physicians, because of what our chapter has won the John Tucker Evergreen Award in Chicago. And that was really a pleasure moment for our chapter. And I will also like to join with me in this award, who has worked very hard, that is Dr. Amit Gupta, who is the chair of ECP Council.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
This year we are going to have our annual conference in Visakhapatnam, that is Vizag. This year our theme will be Back to Basics, and this conference is on 18, 19, and 20th of November at Novotel, Hotel Novotel in Visakhapatnam. This would be the 7th annual meeting of the internal medicine by ACP India Chapter in 2022. Scientific chairman of this meeting is Professor Narsingh Verma, who is already joined here, and organizing secretary is Dr. Srinivas Murthy. The local convener, who belongs to the Vizag, Dr. G.R. Sridhar and Dr. Raghunath Rao, is there. Important thing is that this time we are inviting the abstract in the 3 categories. One is the research paper abstract presentation, what is the usual one, what we really have every time. Another is the best publication presentation, in which we shall be inviting the published research in the last 3 years in some reputed index journal, and people will be giving their abstract in that, and that 6 of them would be selected for the podium presentation. As far as the research paper is concerned, we shall be inviting 10 research paper for the podium presentation at Vizag. 6 best publication presentation for the podium presentation at Vizag. And similarly, 6 best cases which will be submitted to our scientific committee will be invited for the podium presentation physically at Vizag. Rest of the selected research papers, publications, and case presentation shall be presented virtually. And this thing has been done just to avoid the expenses of postgraduates unnecessary for traveling to some destination. And they can do their academic work while sitting at their place. And out of these 10 selected research paper for the abstract presentation, the first 5 will be offered the stay and registration and local hospitality free of cost without spending anything. And remaining 5 will be given the travel grant of rupees 15,000 for traveling to Visakhapatnam. The most important thing is that the best paper award in all categories shall get the first one, the best paper award in all categories shall get economy class ticket to attend ACP Internal Medicine Conference at San Diego in last week of April 2023. So this will be a thing which will be offered by the ACP India chapter to those who will be winning the best paper award in all 3 categories. This is the declaration of the ECP Council India chapter. We have asked for the nomination of the ECP Council recently, about a month back. The people, those who have given their CVs and shown their interest for the Early Career Physician Council for the India chapter, we could select the best possible team for the Early Career Physician Council, which will be working with Amit Gupta for the early career physician in designing the program of the early career physicians, as well as we shall be organizing skill workshops and many other ECP case file kind of the programs for them. So I would like to speak the name of these people. If they are connected here, they can identify themselves. Akanksha Rastogi from Gurugram, Haryana. If you are there, you can identify yourself. Amit Kumar Dey from Kolkata, West Bengal.
Yes, sir. Greetings. Thank you, sir.
Ishank Patel, Vadodara, Gujarat.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Dr. Ashish Agarwal, Korba, Chhattisgarh.
Thank you very much, sir.
Dr. Prashant Shankar, Kochi, Kerala.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Preeti Singh Duat from Rishikesh,
Good
Uttarakhand.
evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Great. Dr. S.S. Daria.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Ashish Jindal from Mohali, Punjab.
Good evening, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Dr. Jyoti Bajpayee from Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh.
Very good evening to all of you. Thank you so much, sir, for giving this opportunity.
Great. Hope you will be doing good work for ECP Council.
Sure, sir.
Mohammad Riaz from Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Rajendra Kumar Verma, Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. Suresh Kanna Subramaniam from Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Vipul Chavda from Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Vipul, if you are here. Wahid Khan, he is presently shifted to the Oman in Muscat, but he is member of the India chapter. And he has shown his interest to work for early career physician. So these 6, Wahid, you are muted, I think.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. So thank you all for being with us, and thank you all for showing your interest for this early career physicians council, what we have made. And we shall be having a meeting separately of this early career physician together with Amit Gupta, so that we can plan something for the early career physician in the next year, which is being started from today till 30th June. Another important announcement, like last year, we are again inviting the nominations for various awards of the India chapter, which includes the Early Career Physician Award, Hospitalist of the Year Award, Humanitarian of the Year Award, ACP India Internist Award, Lifetime Achievement Award, Researcher of the Year Award, Medical Student of the Year Award, Resident of the Year Award, Resident Recognition Award for the Leadership, Teacher of the Year Award, Chapter Advocacy Award and Chapter Leader Award, ACP India Chapter Clinical Practice Award, ACP Community Teaching Award, Distinguished Mentor Award, ACP India Educator Award, Fostering Diversity Award, Wellness Award, Women Physician of the Year Award, Volunteer Faculty of the Year Award, Governors Recognition Award, ACP India Excellence Award, ACP India Award for Outstanding Contribution for Women's Health. This award is being started this year. So all of you are requested, all those who are the member of ACP can apply for these awards with their CVs at the mail of governor to me, and if they are found appropriate, their CV will be found eligible for these awards, and these awards shall be decided by a credential committee which has already been formed, and this committee will judge that who are the people eligible for these awards, and these awards finally will be announced and given in annual conference of ACP India chapter at Vizag. The two new awards we are announcing this year. One is ACP India Award for Outstanding Contribution in Women's Health, as I already announced. And another one is in the name of Dr. B.C. Roy, as one of my colleagues from the Kolkata, who was a member of the previous governing council of ACP India chapter, requested me that I should announce some award in the name of Dr. B.C. Roy, because today is the birth anniversary of Dr. B.C. Roy and we should have some award in his name. So we were looking for this best thesis award for a long time. So we shall be starting this award from this year, Dr. B.C. Roy Best Thesis Award for the postgraduate in the medicines. Now we should come over to the research projects. 3 research projects as of now has been finalized for this year. I am happy to say that last year we have started a data collection on the COVID diabetes, and that has come out with a very good information and presently is under consideration for the publication in a very reputed journal. This year we are coming up with the 3 research projects, and we are also considering one more, which will be, if it will be finalized, it will be announced soon. But presently these 3 research projects are, one is on the well-being of the clinicians, that is the state of the health or health of the healthcare provider, a descriptive study to understand factors affecting well-being of the Indian physician. For this particular study, our well-being champion of this year, Dr. Srinivas Murthy, who is a very good researcher also, as well as Dr. Anubha Srivastav, who is the faculty in MLN Medical College, Allahabad, they will be chosen as a principal investigator.
Thank you, sir.
Second will be the prevalence of abdominal obesity and weight disorders in Indian adolescents. The data collection will be done by the members of the ACP India chapter for this topic, and later on, if some good results comes out, then it will be published. This will be looked after by Dr. Amit Gupta and Dr. K. Manoharan. Third one is the prevalence and types of undiagnosed anemia in patients seeking general physician care. This particular study shall be looked after by the principal investigator, Dr. Divya Saxena and Dr. Jalis Fatima. Dr. Divya Saxena is the person who is MOCA today, and Jalis Fatima ji is the senior physician, as well as she is senior professor and head of department at Eras Lucknow Medical College at Lucknow. And being a governor, I shall be supervising all these projects as well as I will also be responsible for arranging logistics for these projects. Let's come over to the today's very important project for which we are gathered and we have decided it as a theme of the day, that is women's health in India. And today we shall be announcing a very ambitious project on the base for the betterment of the women's health in India. Let's have for a few very important facts. This has been made in the background of the diversity, equity and inclusions, and which is very much needed for the women's health in India, because United Nations Development Program's Human Development Report has ranked India 132 at the place of 132 out of 187 nations in terms of the gender inequality. So this is a very serious thing as far as the women's equality and their health is concerned. And this gender inequality index has been determined by numerous factors like maternal mortality rate, like fertility rate, like educational achievement as labor force participation rate. And we all know that across the world, this is a thing that women are being paid less for the same work as the men. So these are the things for which we need to focus on the aim and motto of ACP, that is diversity, equity and inclusions, and women's health is requiring a great contribution towards this. We know that leading health concern are the first killer of the women is the heart disease, second one is the cancer, and third one is the stroke. Apart from that, osteoporosis, dementia, menopause, and lot of concerns are there with young women, like menstrual issues, nutrition, fertility, overweight, exercise. So multiple things are there for the women's health for which we need to work a lot. ACP India chapter had identified 9 health concerns for women in India, for which we shall be working throughout years. Heart disease, metabolic disorder. Before that, we can also that nutritional disorders and anemia, pregnancy-induced diseases, breast and cervical cancer, HIV and sexually transmitted diseases, osteoporosis, depression, autoimmune diseases, and domestic violence. Factors which influence women's health in India: malnutrition, sanitation, pregnancy, motherhood, menopause, and many negative life experiences like infertility, perinatal loss, discrimination, gender discrimination, violence, and unemployment and isolation. So these are the factors for which we need to have a support of a social organization. And I'm very happy to say that Rotary has come forward for these social issues to be taken care together with ACP. ACP shall be handling the medical issues and Rotary will be handling the social issues together. We know that suicide is a major problem in India, and suicide rate in India is 5 times higher than that of the developed world. Furthermore, the rate of the suicide has been found to be higher in women as compared to the men in India. The most common reasons for the women's suicide is directly related to the depression, anxiety, gender discrimination, and domestic violence. So a lot of things are there which we need to promote, like medical tests, what to be done between 20 to 30 years of the age, like checking of their weight, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, breast examination, pelvic examination, pap smear, checkup of their eyes, and looking for the immunization status. At the same time, at the age of the 40s, again, we need to tell the women for their better health to keep watching blood sugar, breast examination, mammogram also to be done in addition to the clinical examination, blood pressure, weighing, keeping an eye on the weight, pelvic examination, pap smear, looking for the moles, because unusual moles or skin changes can lead to cancer, but these are curable if they are diagnosed at the early stage. Eyes protection, looking for the glaucoma, and of course for the regular immunization, and make them aware about the tetanus booster, flu shot, and now the COVID vaccination also for all those women, those who are at the 40 or more than 40 years of the age. Poor educational status leads to non-utilization of the scanty health services, and increase in avoidable risk factors. How can we help it? So for that purpose, our team of the ACP India chapter, together with the Rotary, has planned a project IRIS. This project IRIS is a ACP India chapter Rotary Women's Health joint initiative. And name of the project is kept on the name of the flower iris. The iris flower represents faith, hope, courage, wisdom, and admiration. Purple iris brings a message of wisdom and compliments, while a bucket of blue iris blossoms speak of hope and faith. With the project IRIS, we intend to make a perceptible change in the way we look at the women's health issue. So ACP India chapter really wish to make changes, perceptible changes in the women's health and their condition in next 1 year. Thank you very much. With these words, I will invite Dr. Amit Gupta to tell the details of the project IRIS so that we can know about what is project IRIS is containing, and later we will move forward. Over to Amit Gupta.
Thank you, sir. And you have made very good announcements, and I think all the ACP members are looking forward to participate in all the activities of the ACP India chapter. Sir, we missed out the name of Dr. Kavya Chand Yalamudi from Telangana. She has also been appointed as the member of the
yes. I think her name has been missed in that list.
Yes. So
yes.
She is here.
So I'm sorry, Kavya, if you are here. I am. Your name is very
No
much
problem,
clear.
sir. Thank
Somehow
you,
it has been the typo mistake. So Kavya, you can.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you can yourself announce that you are a part of this team at ACP Council. Kavya, would you like to
Thank you,
say
sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir.
Okay, that's great.
So with your permission, sir, I would like to share my screen now, sir, for the
yes.
purpose of telling few more details about the Project IRIS. The Project IRIS has already been announced by you, and we have very distinguished guest in the form of Dr. Kamal Sangvi here, who is our guest of honor also today. And he is the man who is known for the eradicating polio from India. Welcome, Dr. Kamal Sangvi, sir. We will listen to you a little while after that. So let me talk about the Project IRIS. As sir has explained already, that it is a joint initiative of ACP India chapter and the Rotary India Humanity Foundation. So sir has already told that why the name of this project is IRIS, because the iris flower represents faith, hope, courage, wisdom, and admiration. And the purple iris brings a message of wisdom and compliments, and all these are the characteristics which we all know that the women carry with them. So with the Project IRIS, we want to make a perceptible change in the way we look at the women's health issue. So if you look at the problem has already been enumerated, but the problems are numerous and they are multiple, and it also impacts the economy of a country. And there are issues which are related to gender, class, ethnic disparities, and the healthcare services also. So women's health concerns are numerous and influenced by various factors like gender, early marriage, domestic violence, sexual abuse, malnutrition, poverty, illiteracy, and access to the quality healthcare, which pose a major concern today. So the objective of the Project IRIS is that we are keeping it a three-pronged approach. We want to empower and educate women to take charge of their own health. And once they take charge of their own health, definitely we know that they will be taking charge of their family's health as well. Also, we want to sensitize the society for the importance of prioritizing the women's health issues. So we want an advocacy front also of this Project IRIS. And at the same time, we want to sensitize the medical professionals and provide them with the latest updates on the women's health issue. So that with this three-pronged approach, we want to advocate about the women's health, we want to educate the people about the women's health, and we want to educate the medical professionals also about the women's health issue. So the scope of work has already been defined. It includes menstrual health, PMS, maternal health, family planning, reproductive health, nutrition, mental health, all the NCDs, bone health, osteoporosis, cancer, breast and cervix, healthy aging, fitness, well-being, adolescent health, vaccination, and any other thing that comes to our mind, we would like to cover and keep our scope much broader for that. So ACP India chapter, what are the responsibilities which we are going to carry on our shoulder as the ACP members? So we request all the ACP India chapter members to organize one health checkup camp for especially dedicated for women in 3 months. So in a period of 3 months, you are required to conduct one health checkup, which is dedicated exclusively to the women's health. We want all the ACP members to conduct at least one education program in a girls' school or college in once in 3 months, so that we are able to talk about the health-related issues of the women. Also, we want ACP members to conduct one online education program which is focused on women's health issue in 3 months. So all the ACP members, they are requested to conduct 3 activities in a window of 3 months. And one is a health camp, second is an educational program. We want to go there physically in a college or school where we want to educate the teachers, we want to educate the children. At the same time, we will be organizing webinars so that we can educate the doctors also, as well as the general public also. Rotary India Humanity Foundation has taken the responsibility of providing us that they will make arrangements for the medical camps, they will prepare the sites, they will manage the sites, they will assist us in community mobilization, and we are very thankful to them. Because of this, we will be able to reach out to thousands of people all across the India and almost every corner of the India. They will be helping us to conduct one education program in school and college. So we will be asking all the ACP members to liaison with their local Rotary club so that they are in a position to do the activity together. And they will also be assisting the ACP members to conduct online education programs, which is going to focus on the women's health issue. So we are very thankful to the Rotary India Humanity Foundation for that. Mr. Vishwajit Ghosh, who is also the Chief Operating Officer of the Rotary, is also present in this meeting. We welcome you, sir. So together, the ACP India Chapter and the Rotary India Humanity Foundation, let's talk about the women's health. So this is the entire objective of this campaign, and we will run this campaign for a good period of time so that the impact is visible. Thank you very much. We will share more details about the campaign once we are ready to go on the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Amit and Dr. Anuj Maheshwari, for giving an overview of the activities going to be conducted by ACP India Chapter in near future. And thank you for considering the women's health as the priority to work on as an IRIS project. So thank you, Amit, and thank you, Dr. Anuj, once again. So now I would invite the guest of honor of today's evening, Dr. Kamal Sanghvi, for his words of wisdom. He is a chairman RHF and a role of community in health, women's health. So over to Dr. Mr. Kamal Sanghvi for his words of wisdom. Stop.
Should I start?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So first of all, let me just wish each one of you a very happy Doctor's Day. You know, most of us haven't seen God, but we always see God's own work, and we see the blessings of God through the hands of the doctors. So let me, on behalf of everyone, every citizen of India, congratulate and greet you today and thank you for doing God's own work on the country. And you know, the doctors have a great responsibility. Doctors have a responsibility of bringing joy and succor to the people who are less fortunate and who are suffering. And each one of you is doing it beautifully. So let me once again thank you for doing that. Second, I would just like to say I'm not a doctor, though I'm a graduate of Kasturba Medical College, but I've done my master's in pharmaceutical science. That's by education, and by profession, I'm a banker now. And my job is as a chairman of Rotary India Humanity Foundation, Rotary India Literacy Mission, and other Rotary arms, is to bring and create an ecosystem where people, like-minded people, get together to make the world a better place to live in. So let me first commend and let me thank Dr. Elisa for being here. I think probably she's on a flight, but also Dr. Anuj Maheshwari, the governor of ACP India. And of course, Dr. Amit Gupta. I had the good fortune of meeting him in Hyderabad in our presidential conference where I was the convener. So thank you, Amit, for having me here, Dr. Amit, and Dr. Anuj for inviting me to this fantastic program. Today is a monumental day for two reasons. One, I always believe that no society, no community, no country, no organizations can prosper if there is no gender equality. And there is a severe crisis of gender equality, be it profession, be it work, or be it medical treatment or facilities of medical treatment in India. Women are at the lower end today. That's no secret. You know, the entire GDP, unfortunately, women only give 4% of the contribute to the GDP of India. And that is absolutely also applicable to the health services offered to the women in India, across India. Be it simple things like menstrual, be it the pads which the women use in the villages. I have seen some horrific sights in the village when you go, and when I work in the village, as to what people use for pads. I've seen women using straws for pad. Can you imagine a woman using straw? Women have cervical cancer, they don't know about it. And these women who are deprived, malnutrition, they are malnutrited and probably giving birth to children who are also in turn malnutrited. So I always believe when a woman is not in good health, the entire family is not in good health. And it is our job. It is our job as the people, and I always believe is the rich and the strong and the educated, which look after the poor, weak, and the illiterate, and bring a community which is in peace with itself, and bring equilibrium in the community. And I'm so glad that ACP has decided to make this as a priority today, because I always believe, you know, how much ever we men do, we can never do two things which women can do. The first thing is give birth. We can never give life. You can cure, as doctors, you can cure people of life, but you can never give birth to a life. Of course, many of you doctors do the deliveries as gynecologists. That's a different issue. But giving birth to somebody is only the priority and prerogative of a woman. And the second most thing, women ke paas aachal hota hai. They have aachal. Men can never have aachal. And these are the two different things, two biggest things, and we need to respect that women for that. They are jananis. They are the ones who create the entire world. And unfortunately, we lack and we forget to give them back. And so I'm very glad today. I'm the happiest person in the world today when ACP takes it up, saying that that is your priority area. And Dr. Anuj and Dr. Amit, thank you for doing this. And you know what? Giving me an opportunity, giving Rotary India Humanity Foundation, giving Rotarians an opportunity to join up in this noble cause. You know, I always believe that invariably people say, what can we do? And I always say that never say that you cannot do something or that something seems impossible. You know, people go to the village and they say, oh, I've seen many doctors say that. I've seen many businessmen say that. I've seen many industrialists say that. Many educationists say that. What can you do? Things seem impossible, or that something cannot be done, no matter how discouraging or harrowing it may be. We all human beings are limited only by what we allow ourselves to be limited by, our own minds. We are each masters of our reality. When we become self-aware of this, absolutely anything in the world is possible. And today we are organizing, and I thank you for launching this IRIS program. And we are witnessing the partnership of two large organizers. Of course, we'll formalize this through an MOU or at a later meeting. But in principle, as a chair, I do agree that we two organizations who complement each other using their cumulative expertise, your God's own hand, you have the God's own kala in your hand, and we Rotarians have the depth of reaching every village in the country. And we Rotarians believe in service above self. We Rotarians have a motto of humanity is our business. And we, two of these large organizations, join up together with their cumulative expertise, strength, and reach, and are spreading. And together we'll spread kindness in the world. So thank you once again in this absolutely structured approach. And I assure you, ACP, of course, I know Dr. Anuj and Dr. Amit, and of course, all your board members and every member across India and every doctor across India, that we will do our best. We will be always there supporting you. We would always look forward to have your hands behind us so that we can always bring kindness and we can make sure that every child born in this country is a healthy child. And to do that, we need to have a healthy mother. be it cancer, be it cervical cancer, be it malnutrition, be it any aspect, be it education, every aspect for strengthening a woman and the cause of women is absolutely utmost to the Rotary world at large. And diversity, equity, and inclusion is the next byword in the Rotary bylane. So thank you, Dr. Anuj, for pointing that out. I think it is extremely important in current circumstances and current scenario in the world that we are all very sensitive to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and creating a gender balanced society and community. So let me end by saying that we are all in this. We are all going to make sure that the world becomes a better place to live in. And thank you to each one of you, God's own hand. You all have God's own hand. And like Mother Teresa said, I just like to repeat 2 words of Mother Teresa. She said that I can do things you cannot. So we Rotarians can do things you cannot. You can do things, doctors, which I cannot. But you know what? Together, when we meet up and together we will do things which are great and fantastic. So let's make music. Let's make sure every woman in this world, especially in India, is a healthy woman. And let us make the world a better place to live in and be inclusive of everybody in the world. Thank you so much again for having me here. We look forward to this fantastic partnership and take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kamal Sangvi, for a nice deliberation, and we really inspired of your thoughts.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words and for your encouragement for our small effort toward the women's health. And thank you for extending your support on behalf of Rotary towards this novel project. Thank you once again. And now I would request all of you to please join us for Saraswati Vandana and lamp lighting. Technical team, please play the Saraswati Vandana. Hello.
Yeah, ma'am.
Neelamji, please play the Saraswati Vandana. Okay. I think there is some problem with the RX team. I will speak to them. Meanwhile, we can, yeah, they have just started.
Thank you. And now coming to the main agenda of today's program, that is talking about women's health. What are the challenges and what are the solutions for this? So for delivering this lecture, I would invite Dr. Swati Srivastava. She is a professor of medicine at SMS Medical College, and she is also a very dynamic member of ACP Governing Council. Over to Dr. Swati for delivering the lecture on women's health.
Thank you very much, Dr. Divya. Thank you at the outset. I would like to thank the entire team ACP India for giving me this opportunity to speak on this very important topic of women's health challenges and solutions. Other than that, first, I would like to say that it's really so encouraging to have heard Dr. Kamal for the wonderful words of encouragement about how Rotary is going to improve women's health. And that is very, very important. And the IRIS program, I wish it success, and we are going to work into it. So now that I'm sharing my screen slides, are my slides visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So thanking Dr. Anuj Maheshwari, the governor of ACP India. Yeah, I've done it. I've done it. So
no, ma'am, it is not in the slide show mode.
It's in the slideshow mode.
It's not full screen, Dr. Swati.
It's full screen at my end. I'll do it again. Okay. Now it's gone full screen. It's full screen.
Not visible as full screen. Not visible as
stop share and I'll share again. No issues. Just a second. I'll stop share. Actually, we have some net issues also here, because in Jaipur we are having some net issues.
Dr. Swati, you please mail to RX event your presentation.
So
RX event people will run this and you can speak.
Because we are having net issues here, I think. So
that's why your voice is very much audible. Your picture is also visible.
I'll do that. But I think then I'll need some time for that.
Yeah, you can try it.
Okay.
So meanwhile, we can invite some of the comments from Dr. Narsim Verma sir was there, or we can play the recorded message of.
Yes, yeah. I think we can have the Dr. Elisa's presentation in the meantime. Dr. Swati is getting ready. Dr. Elisa, if you are in position to speak, you please do like to speak, then you can speak something. Otherwise, we can have your talk. Neelamji, can you please play the talk of Dr. Elisa Choi?
Dr. Anuj, is it visible now?
Yeah, now it is visible.
I'm sorry.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah.
You can make it full screen and.
It's gone on the full screen now because I have made it full screen.
Okay.
So you can proceed with this only, no problem.
You can present.
Okay. So, with the talking on women's health and dimensions, no, but it's not going forward. So I think I'll have to mail only. I think Dr. Anuj, we can go ahead with the other. I'll just mail it and please continue back.
Neelamji, please play the Dr. Elisa's talk and then we shall be taking the Dr. Swati's presentation.
Day program for the very kind invitation to me to provide some comments. I'm thrilled to be able to join this wonderful event, and I am very happy to be part of your community for this program. My name is Alyssa Choi. I'm the current chair of the ACP Board of Governors, and I am an internal medicine and infectious diseases specialist. And I'll be making some brief comments today related to gender equity and women's health disparities, as well as giving an overview of current work in this domain from the American College of Physicians. Please note, my comments today will reflect my own opinions and input and not necessarily representing myself as a spokesperson of the American College of Physicians, but will certainly draw from ACP's resources. First, let me make a comment about ACP, which is a wonderful organization. Certainly my bias is showing, but we are a global diverse community. And I've highlighted in this slide our diverse global community, because although much of what ACP does is based in the United States, we really strongly feel that the global chapters are a particular advantage and a strength of the college. And in particular, the ACP India chapter has done incredible and wonderful work. So we're so thrilled and pleased to have our global chapters as part of the larger ACP community. I wanted to also spotlight ACP's priority themes, and in particular, on the right, the diversity, equity, and inclusion priority theme. And that will relate to the theme of my talk, which is equity and achieving gender equity as well as health equity. ACP has made an organizational commitment to be an anti-racist, diverse, equitable, and inclusive organization. And I've highlighted here that ACP has a priority goal to eliminate racism, racial disparities, discrimination, bias, and also inequities in health and healthcare within its own organization and outside of the organization. ACP has done a lot of tremendous work in this area of health equity and health disparities, and in particular, put out a multi-part comprehensive framework to address health disparities and discrimination in healthcare recently. And it definitely addresses various different aspects of health disparities. ACP has also done some really wonderful work in establishing diversity, equity, and inclusion and women in medicine committees. And I know part of the impetus in Dr. Maheshwari asking me to speak today, for which I'm very grateful, is that this program will help mark the initiation of a women's health initiative named the IRIS Project. So I wanted to particularly spotlight some of the gender equity work and the support that ACP has undertaken to support women in medicine through various programs and committees. And on a related tangent, I did want to make a particular mention of a group that I've had the privilege to be involved in through the college called the Pan-Asian Affinity Group. And this is a group that is looking to build community collaboration and networking among all members of our global Pan-Asian community within the college. Now, in terms of the framework to address disparities and discrimination in care, this is a paper that addressed that and was put out by the college a number of months back. Part of this framework was to really envision healthcare that is better. And in fact, the theme of this group of papers was that better is possible, and we can achieve this better healthcare by reducing barriers to care and to address social determinants. And I spotlight here in the top right corner part of the ACP vision for a healthcare system whereby social factors that contribute to poor and inequitable health, which are often due to something called the social determinants, are ameliorated, and that barriers to care for people who are vulnerable or underserved are overcome. And essentially aim for a healthcare system where there is nobody who will suffer discrimination against themselves based on any characteristics or personal identity. Now, in the preceding few slides, I made reference to a number of terms, and I do want to make sure that we all feel like we understand the terms we're discussing. Health equity, health inequities, social determinants, these are all terms that get used a lot when we talk about achieving optimal health. The World Health Organization actually defines these terms a bit more, and I want to share those definitions with all of you. Equity is the absence of avoidable or remediable differences among groups of people, regardless of how those groups are defined. Health inequities, therefore, have much more to do with inequality related to health determinants, including access to resources. And a characteristic common to groups that experience these health inequities is, as underlined here, a lack of political, social, or economic power. And that will be important as we talk a little bit later in my comments about health disparities and also gender equity. Now, social determinants of health, which I've also mentioned in the preceding several slides, has been defined by the World Health Organization as follows, which are conditions in which people are born, grow, work, live, and age, and the wider set of forces and systems shaping the conditions of daily life. And these are forces and systems that may include economic policies and systems, development agendas, social norms, social policies, and political systems. Please note that discrimination is, in fact, a social determinant of health, as is racism. And also to note that often the term of race is really a social construct that is not biologically predetermined. Now to my main point, which I wanted to discuss, which is that gender equity and health disparities are in fact interlinked. Gender is a social determinant of health. And the gender equity, or I should say the gender inequity that women often face in many Asian countries, and frankly in many of the world, is in fact a significant reason for some of the health disparities and inequities that women face. Some of this is based on that many social systems are still, to a large degree, male-dominated and patriarchal. And therefore, women in many of these societies will have lesser standing in terms of power, in terms of socioeconomic standing, in terms of financial resources. And so this gender inequity that many women face in a number of different societies and countries, including in Asia and perhaps in India as well, will also then ultimately affect access to healthcare. So since gender is a social determinant of health, and therefore there is inequity among genders, with women very often experiencing the lesser of those resources and political power and standing, things like being able to appropriately access care when one needs it can impact their ability to stay healthy. And some examples that I wanted to spotlight for you, all of you, as I know that today's program will help launch a women's health initiative, the IRIS project. What I have learned is that in India and much of Asia, there are some health disparities, particularly as it relates to these areas. Now, with respect to reproductive care, this can be a bit of a charged topic. Certainly in the United States, we've just recently had a Supreme Court make a decision that has essentially gotten rid of a constitutional right for women to have access to certain types of reproductive care, including the medical procedure of terminating pregnancy and undergoing abortion. Now, in terms of how is that a health disparity? Well, in India, having an abortion or a termination of pregnancy is something that has been present for a number of decades. However, because of some inequities that some women may face, access to these types of reproductive care services may be limited, particularly if some women are not living in areas where there is fairly ready and accessible care in reproductive services, particularly in rural parts of the country. And this is likely also true in many parts of Asia. Now, what about health disparities in cancer? Well, at least one type of cancer that I've learned is actually an area of health disparities for women in India. There's actually a large increase in the number of women with breast cancer in India recently. And in 2020, nearly 70% of the world's cancer cases are coming from developing countries. A fifth of those 70% of the world's cases of breast cancer are actually coming from India directly. Now, again, taking a step back, why might this be the case? If there is resources that are more limited, socioeconomic standing that may be definitely impacting women more significantly than men, and all of that should come together to lead to less access to healthcare, then certainly cancers like breast cancer that primarily affect women will lead to some health disparities. What about other areas of health disparities? In the domain of cardiovascular disease, there is a significant amount of morbidity and mortality that is attributable to cardiovascular disease in India. Although the amount of the world's heart disease burden is pretty significant in India, in particular, Indian women have a particularly high mortality from cardiovascular disease. And in comparison to men as well, women in India have more significant mortality and morbidity outcomes. Again, thinking back to why this might be the case, if women in India and other countries in Asia have less access to care due to the social systems that can be disadvantaged to women, this will lead to worse health outcomes and health disparities. And skipping to the very last bullet related to HIV and AIDS, this is also an area where there are some health disparities that women in India and in some Asian countries may face. So as of a number of years back, about 40% of the HIV AIDS cases in India were represented by women. However, women have disproportionate mortality rate due to HIV AIDS than compared to men. And as a similar theme with some of the other health disparities, this may be in fact due to reduced access to care, particularly for women who may have less financial resources, less autonomy, who may be in family situations that make it difficult for them to access care independently. And finally, the domain of domestic and intimate partner violence is also a significant health disparity problem for women in India and in many countries in the world. Intimate partner violence and domestic violence is, in many cases, deemed a hidden epidemic. There's much stigma and shame involved in those who suffer from partner or domestic violence, and the prevalence is much more significant among women than among men. So in a society that is patriarchal, that may be male-dominated, it can be very difficult for women who may be on the receiving end of domestic and intimate partner violence to even have the resources to seek care because of threats to their own life, concern about their families, and also lack of access to financial resources. So, in summary, the reason that gender equity is so important is without gender equity, we will have women who will become less independent, have less access to health resources, who may have reduced socioeconomic standing, and who may have more limited financial resources, and may therefore not be able to achieve the same level of health as their counterparts, men in society. In closing, as this is part of an ACP India chapter event, I did want to encourage everybody to continue to stay connected with ACP through these various different channels on social media. Everything that you do for your patients, for your profession, and also for the commitment to internal medicine. I wanted to leave you all with a quote that I found which was inspiring. And this photo collage is actually a picture of a number of prominent women physicians from India. And I thought, apropos of Doctors' Day, where this program will be helping to launch a women's health initiative, I wanted to leave you all with a quote from Dr. Anandabai Gopal Joshi. And I was looking up a little bit about some prominent Indian women physicians, and I came across Dr. Joshi's name. She was actually the first female Indian physician and the first Indian woman to have gained a medical degree in Western medicine, as she received her doctorate in medicine from, at the time, a medical school called Women's Medical College in Pennsylvania, which is currently now known as Drexel University. And she had a fairly tragic event happen very early in her life when, at the age of 14, she gave birth to a child who died after a few days due to poor medical services that were available at the time in India. And this event, as one could imagine, impacted her hugely. And it did inspire her to become a doctor. So she has a quote that I find inspirational, and I wanted to share it in closing for my comments with all of you. Her quote is, "My soul is moved to help the many who cannot help themselves." And with that, I thank you so much for your attention. Thank you again to my colleague, Dr. Anuj Maheshwari. Thank you to the ACP India Chapter Doctors' Day program. I wish everybody a wonderful Doctors' Day and blessings and best wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elisa, for your kind words and your words of wisdom. And now I would request Dr. Swati, if you are ready with your presentation, can we go ahead?
Yeah, Divya, Dr. Elisa is connected, and I think Dr. Elisa, you have been there. You are there. If you can unmute yourself. She is muted again. Dr. Elisa.
Is not connected. She's not visible in the part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll move to the another topic. Dr. Divya, you move ahead for introducing Dr. Swati Srivastava.
Okay. So now again introducing Dr. Swati Srivastava. She, as we all know, a great academician, a very dynamic lady, professor, SMS Medical College, and a governing council member. She is here to present a lecture on women's health and what is the possible solution for it. Over to Dr. Swati for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Divya. Thank you, Dr. Anuj and Maheshwari sir, for this wonderful opportunity. Am I audible? Because internet is a major issue here. There is a very significant lag going on right now. So I've forwarded my slides to Dr. Amit. And am I
You are
audible?
audible and visible both. Please go ahead.
So I'll be talking about women's health challenges and solutions. We have heard the previous lecture elaborated so well. Dr. Eliza Choi elaborated in detail the problems which occur on account of so many social, cultural, political, so many geographic factors on women's health. And so my focus would be mainly on, next please, on women's health in India. So that is what I would be discussing, and what are the dimensions where we need to work upon very seriously. So dimensions of wellness, when we see, they are social, occupational, spiritual, emotional, physical, intellectual, as well as environmental when it comes to women's health. Next, please. So why do we need to take into particular the gender disparity or the ethnicity of a group or the class, the socioeconomic gap? Is because these all things have significant impact on the healthcare system. And when we look into these things and improvise accordingly, we improvise on the health outcomes which contribute significantly to the economic gain and the human capital as well. Next, please. So next, please, if we see that healthcare system, if we see, then social, political, and economic background, which the emphasizes and which has a very significant impact on the healthcare. And when we talk about, next please, when we talk about the social healthcare, then the gender being very important, because there is a very significant difference in men and women when we come to the healthcare, as discussed previously also, and which we will be discussing also. Next please. So if we see the gender bias in access to healthcare, as Dr. Aliza was so rightly pointing out, that there is the access to healthcare is a very important problem. So UN has declared India as a middle income country, and in 2011, United Nations Development Program, Human Development Report, they made a gender inequality ratio. This ratio took into consideration the maternal mortality rate, the fertility rate, labor force participation rate, and many other such factors. And in this, India scored very poorly. The number was very, very much behind. So the gender inequality ratio index is very high in India. And this is further exemplified by the women's lower likelihood of being literate, of having a good education, participating in labor force, participating in political leaderships also. So their representation being less, their workforce being less, their access to healthcare being less, the literacy being less, it is because there is a very significant gender inequality index, very high index in India, that needs to be considered. Next, please. So there are studies which show that boys are more likely to receive treatment from healthcare facilities compared to the girls. Why? Probably the resource allocation within the household as well as within the public sphere. We know that the gender discrimination starts right before birth itself. Before birth, abortions, there are maximally female being aborted, being the most commonly aborted sex in India. And if she is not aborted, then many a times the mother also, when giving birth to a female child, goes through a very stressful experience and being blamed for that female pregnancy. Once born, the daughter, many a times it is seen, is fed less than the sons. On reaching the adulthood, also there are so many barriers which prevent the females, adults, to achieve equitable levels of health system. Females are considered less valuable to the family. One very important thing is that probably a girl is incapable of taking care of her parents in old age. That makes her less valuable, as well as her dowry system and all those things which go on. So there's a huge nexus of social as well as cultural factors which have importance on this health care of the women. Next, please. So going into the further things, other than these social cultural factors, what about the healthcare system? We know that the healthcare system is mainly concentrated in the urban area. And if we see, the total number of women in healthcare workers are very less. A study was showing as less as 6% of women healthcare workers in a rural setup. So women do not have access easily, and sometimes they wish to open up to women healthcare workers. That is very much limited. That further, retards their expression of their illnesses and causes problems. If we see the maternal mortality rate, there's a significant disparity in rural and urban. So these all further aggravate the inequalities in the genders. Next, please. Challenges in women's health starts right from the intrauterine to infancy, childhood, adolescent, being unmarried, then going on to married, obstetric, family planning, perimenopausal, menopausal. Next, please. So the entire scene, if we see all of them, then there is a chain of events where the women are suffering when it comes to women healthcare. I'll be just focusing on a very few. Malnutrition, morbidity. So we know that in India, there was a study which showed that a very high number of even pregnant or non-pregnant women, both of them had very high numbers of anemia, particularly the iron deficiency. Again, what could be the cause? Probably the gender-specific selection of the distribution of the food resources. That is very important. It was found that as the girls went on to adulthood, their malnutrition further increased. And what was interesting to see in some studies was that in married women, the anemia was more and the malnutrition was more as compared to the unmarried women. And we know that malnourished women are going to give birth to children with birth defects, children who are again malnourished. So addressing this important problem of malnutrition in women would be so beneficial to have better outcomes, not only in women, but also the children. Next, please. Next, please. So the another important point that came into, no, previous one, that came into my mind was the cardiovascular health. As Dr. Eliza also very rightly pointed out, that cardiovascular heart diseases are very important because 1 in 4 deaths among women is because of cardiac disorders. So what happens, there are so many physical changes, there are cultural impacts, but if we see the physical impacts also, many a times it is seen that women do not have the typical classical symptoms. Probably they don't realize that they are having cardiovascular symptoms. They don't approach the doctor as in correct time. It is seen as atypical symptoms of probably fatigue and weakness, backache, indigestion, nausea, and it is ignored. So if that timely intervention would have done, probably it would have, they would have been in a much better, have had outcomes. In addition to that, it is also seen that even the physicians may sometimes overlook because of these atypical symptoms which are seen. As again very rightly pointed out by my previous speaker, was that the complication rate, though the rates of MI would not be that high, but the complications of these cardiovascular events are much more in women as compared to men. That goes on to show that they have a delay in access to healthcare, they have probably not adequate treatment, and probably lifestyle modification, they are not able to do good enough to have, or probably they are not able to continue the medications also. So all these things are very important. A very interesting study for congenital heart disease I just came across, which I thought worth mention, was that Bednecker et al. In 2011, he studied 11 boys and girls with congenital heart disease. And he found that 70 boys would have a surgery where only 22 girls would receive similar treatment. So for surgery also, the boys were very much taken up for surgery, the girls were not. And the reason probably the families gave was that the scarring from surgery would make their women, their girls less marriageable. So this is another a very important factor. Such factors impact the healthcare negatively. Next, please. Then going on to the mental health, as we know, depression, stress, self-esteem, self-worth, that is very important. And we know that Indian women suffer from depression at higher rates than the Indian men. Yes, low education system, low lack of paid employment, spouse alcohol abuse, even domestic violence, all these things come in, and they don't probably seek help, and they sometimes, even when they seek help, probably they don't continue they are not able to continue the medications. One very important thing about depression is that these patients with depression, especially the women, come more with these somatic complaints. So their somatic complaints are more, and their psychological and emotional stressors, which are responsible, which are the primary problem, they are not brought out. And that causes a problem while diagnosis, and sometimes it goes undiagnosed. So this again has to be kept in mind, that this is one of the reasons why mental health in women is more, and probably is not so much attended to correctly. Postnatal depression, as I mentioned, that is very common gender in women, in Indian women, and suicide rates are also very high among men, are higher in women as compared to men. Next, please. HIV AIDS, yes, Dr. Eliza had already mentioned that the women represent about 40% of HIV AIDS cases in India, but again, their complication rate is more, probably again because of lack of adequate treatment. And the reason why HIV AIDS is HIV infection is increasing in India, one of the very important factors being the if the woman asks for utility of barrier contraceptives, it is considered as an act of promiscuity from her side. So she cannot make her stand on that, and probably that exposes her too much to this infection unnecessarily, which could have been avoided. Another very important factor is that sterilization is a primary way of contraception in our country that does not protect from HIV infection at all. So basically, though HIV being more in men as compared to women, the mortality and the complications in women is much higher, and so is the stigma of HIV when it is in a woman. Next, please. There are many issues, but we have limitation of time. So maternal health, maternal mortality, breast cancer, ovarian cervical cancer, gynecological health, pregnancy issue, autoimmune disorders, osteoporosis, I will not be able to discuss all. So these are some I just enumerated due to shortage of time, but these are very important issues which are to be addressed. Next, please. So some basic tips for women, yes, to have a good diet. Next, please. We should have a good diet, a regular exercise pattern. We should not ignore our symptoms. We should encourage our patients who are in the rural background to come up with the symptoms, to approach the doctor, take precautions. The host has probably unmuted me. Please do not mute me. So what do we have when we see what can we do? So women's health, a major development task for us. Yes, much of it is remaining. Next, please. So what can we do? So already the government of India has put into implications a large number of programs like the Kasturba Poshan Yojana, which looks into the nutritional deficiencies, as our esteemed speakers were telling previously, that micronutrient deficiency is a very important thing. So this Yojana, this has gone into looking into it. The Janni Shishu Suraksha Karyakram, this looks into the maternal mortality and the institutional deliveries. The universalization, a women's helpline scheme, the Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram, which looks into the adolescent programs, the Chiranjeevi Yojana, which is a insurance scheme for the people of India. So the Ministry of Health and Women and Child Development is looking into this aspect and making important schemes which will probably be able to help and improve our women's health. Next, please. So what we need is a focused interventions. We have to take into consideration the law, counseling is very important, support services, medical care, raise the awareness, mobilize more of support. Next, please. Prevention, empowering the women with education, employment, counseling, improving dietary supplementation, healthcare providers being approachable and accessible, strengthening our referral system, and giving sex education to the young adolescents. Next, please. So this is what we can do. This is what we can do for the gender inequality which we have, which has though improved over the period of time, but still needs to be looked into. And the ACP India chapter is doing a great job by contributing to it along with Rotary India. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Swati, for giving us an insight into women's health and what are the projects and schemes going on behalf of Government of India. And other than this, Indian Medical Association is also having a project with the name of Mission Pink Health, which is working for women health and adolescent health. So there are a lot of challenges for working for women's health, maybe socio-cultural reasons, because of poor access, maybe economic reasons, maybe people living in remote areas, they have poor access to healthcare providers or healthcare services. But the project IDIS is really good, really promising. They have planned a multi-pronged approach to address women's health issues by organizing community reach program to the schools, to the villages, and to the community areas, by organizing social media awareness program, and by organizing awareness program in schools. So we can address so many health issues if every one of us can dedicate few hours from our life, or can organize at least one program a month. We can really bring a great change towards women's health, especially in India. So congratulations, Dr. Anuj Maheshwari and Dr. Amit, for planning such a beautiful program and launching IRIS project from India, ACP India Chapter. So coming to the end of program, may I request the ACP Governor, Dr. Anuj Maheshwari, to give the closing remark, and then vote of thanks from Dr. Srinivasan. Over to Dr. Anuj for your closing remarks.
Thank you, Divya. I think our agenda is having two more things before the closing remark. So would request Dr. Amit Gupta to please invite the council members for their comments and uh, their reactions on the Doctor's Day, and especially their comments on the program what we have planned, that is Project Iris and Women's Health. So over to Amit.
Thank you, sir. I can see Dr. Divya has already spoken. Dr. Srinivas Murthy is there. So maybe I will request him to...
Srinivas Murthy, yeah, definitely. Yes. He's already here. He will be speaking at the time of vote of thanks, but he can give his comments on the Project Iris as well as our other endeavors what we have announced today.
It's always wonderful for being part of such activities, especially when it's a community health. I think that's what is the specialty of our ACP India under your leadership. We are proud and happy to be associated with this. I'm sure we will take this to new heights in association with the Rotarians. I'm sure this will definitely open up a lot of opportunities for the data to generate, which we sincerely lack in our country. I think that is something what you planned, the studies, etc. I think will motivate youngsters to take part in this and take it forward.
Thank you, Dr. Murthy. And I can see Dr. Saurabh Srivastav, Dr. Jalees Fatima. Dr. Saurabh, would you like to make any comment? Dr. Jalees ma'am, would you like to say something?
Excellent initiative by ACP India Chapter, and it is a proud privilege to be a part of this community. And I think that this initiative of ACP India Chapter will make difference in the times to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saurabh. Dr. Jalees is there. Dr. Jalees, happy Doctor's Day. We would like to listen to you.
Thank you, Dr. Amit, and thank you, everyone. It was really a wonderful program, and Dr. Swati spoke very nicely on the issues related to women. And it's really very amazing that you see that Dr. Anuj Maheshwari has chosen his team and has given good representation to the women. And that is really, really a very promising thing that we see. And the women physician as such should also be given their health should be given a priority, because there is a double burden on them. So that's very good to see everyone here. Thank you so much.
I can see Dr. Bansi Sabu sir has also joined. Dr. Bansi sir, happy Doctor's Day.
Boss, I
think, sir,
hello, Amit.
Hi, sir. Hi. Dr. Kishan sir is also there, sir. Happy Doctor's Day, sir. So we are having double blessings today.
Sir, good evening. Good evening, sir.
Welcome, Dr. Bansi Sabu.
Just for the happy.
Sorry.
No. There is no meeting. It is only a meeting where you have to bless everyone. You have to bless everyone.
Happy Doctor's Day to everybody.
Yeah, happy Doctor's Day, Dr. Shashank. Welcome, Dr. Shashank, for joining our ACP meeting. It's really pleasure to see you here.
Yeah.
Happy Doctor's Day to all of you.
Yeah, thank you. Same to you.
Happy Doctor's Day, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ghosh is also there. So, Mr. Ghosh, would you like to make any comment, because you are a very important part of the Rotary and you are heading the Rotary? I think he just logged out in the last minute. Right. So, any comment from our newly appointed EC members of the ECP councils? Was Amit, Prashant, Dr. Darya, Dr. Dishank, Ashish, Dr. Rajneesh, Dr. Akansha, Dr. Riyaz.
So thank you very much. At the outset, happy Doctor's Day to everyone. Greetings to all my colleagues and pranam to all my seniors and teachers. So thank you for the opportunity to take this forward. It's an opportunity for us to join the ECP Council, and we shall try our level best to carry out all the activities that has been entrusted to us. I think the importance of women health is very important in our country, and it's a great opportunity for us to take this message forward into the community. And as representatives of the ECP Council, we would put in all our efforts in taking this forward to the community, to the schools, and also to at every level of the society. Thank you once again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Amit. So, sir, I think everybody has spoken now, so we can proceed with the vote of thanks. Mr. Ghosh has joined again. Mr. Ghosh, Dr. Elisa is still there. Dr. Elisa is saying thanks to us. Ma'am, we would like to listen from you if you are able to say a few words to us. Thank you for being there for almost the entire 1.5 hours with us, even your busy traveling schedule. Dr. Bansi sir has joined again. Mr. Ghosh,
I'm very much there. Actually, in between what happened, there was we were having our symposia which got slightly delayed. So just now we came out. So I'm sorry for that. Slightly, 11:05. 12:04. So that was the reason only. So Anuj, what's the program today? We should have a party here actually.
Doctors Day party should be
the Doctors Day party. So the unique thing about the 1st July, I don't know how many of you know about the BC Roy, but one unique thing for BC Roy was he born on 1st July and he died also on 1st July.
Oh, that is a very good great information. Very
this information,
important
many
information.
of the doctors, they don't know. They feel it was because of his birthday only we are celebrating. Exactly after 80 years, he died also. So Dr. BC Roy died on the same day and he died at the age of 80. And we celebrate. And the only doctor from India is a medical doctor who was given Bharat Ratna. We also have Dr. Jivraj Mehta, who has founded our Association Physician of India, API. He was also first Chief Minister of Gujarat when Gujarat was divided into Maharashtra and Gujarat. So in Gujarat in 1960, he was the first Chief Minister. But Dr. BC Roy was not only a part of as an eminent doctor from India, but he converted himself as a freedom fighter. And he has participated in independence movement also. And when East Bengal and West Bengal divided, he was the first Chief Minister of West Bengal. So those who are, not knowing much about BC Roy, I think this information should be circulated to them also.
Yes, sure, definitely.
And MCI have taken it as a Medical Council of India. Now it's a National Medical Council. We don't know what will happen, but every year there is a award, BC Roy Award for the doctors. And it is not for one, Amit. There are 5 different areas where BC Roy Award is given. It is for research, for social activity, for your education in medical education. So 5 different awards which is given by President of India as a BC Roy Award. And every year these awards should be given. Since last so many years, there are some irregularities in MCI. So now they are not declaring. But BC Roy Award is given on the name of Dr. BC Roy. And EPI has started on his founder name, Dr. Jivraj Mehta Award also, which is the highest award from Association Physician of India. And this is the award from Indian Medical Association.
Thank you, Dr. Bansi, for the kind information and the very really and precious information what we could pass on to our members.
Anu sir, Mr. Ghosh is also there. He would like to say a few words. Mr. Ghosh, you have been unmuted. Please speak and please switch on your camera. We would all love to hear from you.
Amit, my video is also muted.
No, sir. Video, you have full control.
Now it's started.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, I think Amit, it was a worthwhile, conversation and a cooperation started between Rotary and ACP. Thank you, Dr. Maheshwari, and you and everybody else's initiative. As Mr. Sangvi had said, we look forward to working with you I'll be working on the MOU aspects over the next couple of days, Amit, and we'll get that sorted so that we can start the collaboration.
Thank you.
And thank you all for the time today.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh, for your kind gesture. And you are actually a person who has crafted this agreement and this MOU between American College of Physicians and Rotaries. So we are really grateful of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we have moved on to the last segment. It's my pleasant duty to thank everyone. I think that's the most heartening moment of the program, any program. First of all, I would sincerely thank our governor, Professor Anuj Maheshwari sir, for conceptualizing this and keeping all of us busy. I think that's the problem. We can't relax even one day. He keeps all of us, he forms the units, he forms the committees, teams, and motivates all of us. I think sincere thanks for that, sir, always keeping us busy. And we are very happy to be part of such innovations under your leadership. And of course, Divya, Dr. Divya, who's on the move and still could coordinate. Thanks to the internet, Divya, not to you, because you're still with your video and audio you are on. So you should thank your internet provider. We sincerely thank for all your efforts and coordinating this program so smoothly. Though your ride is not smooth, but the program was very, very smooth. And we sincerely thank Dr. Kamal Sanghvi, who spoke about the difficulties in the rural women, and he was giving examples of how people use, the women in the rural area use the straw for during menstrual cycles. It's very, very disheartening to hear that. I think that is some of the things which we want to change in our society, the approach towards these kind of management. And of course, later on, Dr. Elisa spoke about the gender inequality and the health inequality. And of course, she was there with us all along. And we sincerely thank her and appreciate her for being associated with us so closely. And of course, Dr. Swati spoke about the gender inequality in the Indian perspective. I think that's something which is a kind of eye-opener facts which she told us. I think that's very, very important. Of course, Amit being the backbone to coordinate with the Rotarians and all the young ECP council members, we welcome, warm welcome. We'll be very glad to work with the young blood always. It keeps us also on the move. And I think we will definitely take it forward with these new announcement programs, what Anuj sir has already told. Thank you, everyone. And of course, RX Events for all the back-end support. We sincerely thank you. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
And especially for RX event that they have been recorded the event and they recorded the talk of the Elisa Joy in the early morning wee hours. Neelamji must be getting up 4 a.m. and then she recorded. So it's a really tough thing what she has done. So
that's a woman empowerment, sir.
Yeah, women empowerment as a special appreciation for this special favor what RX Events has given to American College of Physicians. And great, it has been a great evening with all of you. So if we have announced everything we could do that in this year, probably this would be a great achievement on behalf of American College of Physicians India Chapter. Looking forward to get everything fulfilled.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Now
Good night, everyone.
time for national anthem. National anthem.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. So, sir, now we can conclude the session. And again, a very, very happy Doctors' Day to all of you. And now we look forward to the activities of this year, sir. Thank you, Anuj, sir.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining this day, this evening, and looking forward to meeting again.